What we are asking you now is please, please stay inside. Stay inside until we can get out there with our teams. They are all in action right now. We can get out there.
That's the message to Tampa residents this morning as first responders assess the damage from Hurricane Milton.
We have a live look right now at the path of Milton, the eye of the storm. Looks like we don't have that right now, but this is a live look in Florida right now. It looks to appear to be the calm after the storm.
Thanks for joining us here on Sunrise on this Thursday morning as we begin our 6 o'clock hour. Rod Hill is standing by in the Weather Center right here with the latest on Milton.
Yeah, I think that shot we just showed you was the same shot we showed you 24 hours ago, guys, in that Tampa Bay area. And good to see a lot of those boats in the marina are still there. We were kind of wondering about that. The headline at this exact moment is the storm has pushed out into the open Atlantic and then will continue to move away from land and eventually fizzle out. Even the heavy rain bands pretty much exited the east coast of Florida. There's the eye. It's still a Category 1 storm, technically, with sustained winds at 85 miles per hour. A bit of a wider look of that storm moving out. Of course, we'll have all the stats for you coming up. It did make landfall as a Cat 3 storm with 120 mile per hour winds about 8:30 East Coast time yesterday. Here at home, we're tracking our weather, of course. It's a dry start. We have some fog pockets out there currently, but not a lot. Otherwise, it's clear up top. It's chilly. PDX at 47. Will be 61 at noon. And then later today, sunny. And after a chilly start, 70 will feel really warm. Chris has been watching the traffic implications from the hurricane.
Rod, there are at least a half a dozen Florida airports that are closed as a result of Milton. The largest, of course, being Tampa, which will be closed until 8 a.m. tomorrow, and Orlando closed through at least 6 p.m. today. You might be wondering, is that having an impact on our flights out of PDX right now? The good news is the green airplane there for PDX means not yet, and hopefully not throughout the day as we check out some of the major hubs across the U.S. We're still doing okay in terms of flight delays, so good news there. The freeway drive right now in pretty good shape. I want to zoom in real quick. Looks like we've got a crash in the Ridgefield area on 41st Avenue. Also wanted to point out the southbound I-5 is a little plugged up in that area. We've been watching some areas of patchy fog out there this morning, but so far, guys, I can tell you the freeway drive into town is still in relatively good shape so far.
Chris, thank you. I want to get back to our top story this morning. Soon, residents will get a look at the damage Hurricane Milton did, and first responders will begin assisting those in need.
NBC's Priscilla Thompson has more for us this morning from Orlando.
Well, here in Orlando, the rain has tapped down significantly from what we saw overnight, and the winds, too, at its peak. We were clocking winds up to 81 miles per hour in Daytona Beach, which is not far from here. But there are still water rescues underway. We were seeing in parts of Orange County and those areas that have flooded. And that was a real concern here. The real concern here was flooding. We were under a flash flood warning for a number of hours overnight. That has now expired. But now it is really people waking up to survey the damage and see what they're looking at. And of course, we know along the Florida coast, there was a lot of storm surge that came in. They were dealing with some really more than 100 mile per hour winds, and so certainly a lot of damage there to be assessed. But officials right now are telling people to please stay off the roads so that the first responders who need to get out there can do that if they need to do rescues, and also assess the damage and work to begin clearing some of this as the phase of the storm now heads into recovery. I'm Priscilla Thompson here in Orlando, Florida.
That's the latest from Orlando. There are new photos and videos, though, from all over the state that are rolling in this morning by the minute.
Our Thomas Schultz has been keeping tabs on this all morning and joins us in the studio with a closer look. Thomas.
Yeah, well, guys, we're learning several people have now died from this storm in St. Lucie County. 4 people are dead after tornadoes touched down along Florida's Atlantic coast. 11 million people are at risk of floods, and thousands of federal personnel have been deployed across the state. In Tampa, of course, police have been busy rescuing people throughout the night. Here's a video of one of that rescues in one home alone. 15 people, including children, were rescued after a tree hit the home. Water was surging in. And in Lee County, where Fort Myers is, deputies are beginning to assess the damage. This was new video posted just a couple minutes ago. You can see power poles were hit, lines are draped along the roadway. And guys, this is an area that just a couple of years ago was decimated by Hurricane Ian. Recovery efforts are ongoing still. from that storm. Now let's show you some pictures of this damage. These are from the Lee County Sheriff's Office. You can see the roadways now just coated in sand. It looks like there's a hose here just pouring water out onto the roadway. And right here, there's just debris of bricks along the coast. You can see gusts of wind still coming into those palm trees. And again, just an incredible amount of debris taking place here. And this last picture I want to show you, once again from the Lee County Sheriff's Office, you can see just trees, palm trees on the ground. Once again, sand along the roadway. Just an incredible amount of debris and devastation. Fortunately, looks like buildings are standing in this area at least, but this is going to be a long recovery, and this comes at a time when the high tide is now incoming, according to the Tampa Bay mayor. She expects in Tampa, rivers will flood not just the city of 3 million people, but the entire county. Rod?
All right, thanks, Thomas. Well, on this graphic behind me are the stats of the actual moment that Hurricane Milton made landfall. Remember, at one point yesterday, this was a monster Category 5 storm. Once it reaches that type of strength, no matter what the rest of the stats become, it's just a monster storm bringing in incredible amounts of water. With all that said, at landfall, the winds had weakened somewhat. It was a Category 3 storm at 8:30 last evening, Florida time, 120-mile-per-hour sustained winds around the eye wall. Siesta Key is a barrier island just outside of Sarasota, about 70 miles or so south of the Tampa Bay area. And in that Tampa Bay area, of course, is St. Petersburg. They had a report of over 16 inches of rain coming down. That was pretty much right on track with what the Weather Service predictions were from the Hurricane Center. Had a report of a 96-mile-per-hour gust in Sarasota. Now, in this area of central West Florida, a lot of the weather stations stopped recording at the magic moment when the strongest of the winds moved in. Daytona Beach, of course, on the east side, kind of the exit point more or less for the hurricane, at one point had a gust of 87, and even Daytona Beach reported about 9 inches of rain. So that tells you how widespread the rain and even the winds were, which we talked about yesterday, from the Tampa Bay area south and then east into Orlando, where they had high winds overnight as well, and into Daytona Beach. Okay, locally, what's going on? Very little. We have a nice, quiet day coming up. No travel concerns this morning, minus we are starting to see fog pockets pick up. And if you look at this shot from the Rose City camera, you can tell we now have fog that has developed in just the last handful of minutes, starting to hunker down over the West Hills. So you may find some fog slowing you up on your commute in. Temperatures are chilly, which we expected. It was mainly clear and quiet overnight. So 47 at downtown and out at PDX, 41 in Hillsborough. Battleground, one of the chilly spots up in Clark County, now down to 38. And you folks in Yamhill County matching that in McMinnville at 38 degrees. Visibility map doesn't show a lot except for dense fog from McMinnville. Now fog picking up in Salem, and we have dense fog over into Tillamook. Later today, it's sunshine, and we have clouds out east this morning, but those will be clearing as well. So a lot of inland areas, most inland areas, about 70 give or take for high. We'll go 71 in Portland, all dry through the weekend. Warmest weekend day looks fantastic on Sunday, clear and 77. That is your forecast.
Rod, thank you. And be sure to stay with KGW for continuing coverage of Hurricane Milton. We'll bring you the details and the damage left behind over the coming days and potentially weeks. There are a lot of ways to find the very latest here on air, online, and at KGW.com.
One of our top local stories this morning comes from Clark County, where sheriff's deputies are investigating a homicide after a 78-year-old woman was found dead in her home. Ashley Grahams joins us live now in Vancouver. So, Ashley, what can you tell us about this investigation?
Drew, China, good morning. Just a really disturbing case. Family members tell us the victim is 78-year-old Patricia Jimmerfield. Now, they say that she was a great-grandmother and a retired nurse. Her daughter says that someone burglarized Jimmerfield's home the day before she was killed. She also says Jimmerfield texted her Tuesday morning writing, quote, "extremely stressed out, bank fraud, etc. will call later." It's not clear if the two cases are connected.
They broke in twice. Once Monday night and stole her wallet and then charged up her cards. And then last night when they killed her. If anybody knows anything, if anyone saw anything, please call the police department. I want to know who killed my mom.
Now, at this point, the Clark County Sheriff's Office isn't releasing very many details, but they do say they are investigating a homicide at that house at Northwest 99th and 26th Avenue. Now, you just heard from her daughter there, Stephanie, saying, if you know anything, please call police. China, Drew.
Ashley Grams reporting live for us in Vancouver. Thank you. Staying in Vancouver, police are investigating this single car crash that sent the driver to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. They say around 8:30 Tuesday morning, a Ford F-150 was driving on Burton Road near Northeast 109th when they drove off the road and up an embankment towards I-205. Because they weren't wearing a seatbelt, the driver was thrown from the truck, which rolled back down the hill. Police say speed and impairment are factors in the crash.